Hey everyone, it's Josh with Pure Epic Studios here, and I'm really excited to finally get you guys the Connect 4 tutorial for GameSalad that a lot of you have been waiting on. For those of you who don't know, a couple months ago I created a poll on the GameSalad forums, where people voted for the tutorial they thought I should make, and Connect 4 won. So let's get started. To start off, I'm going to explain that there's a mechanism we're going to use in this tutorial that would take way too long for me to create while recording. So I went ahead and put it together beforehand and put it in the starter project, which, by the way, you guys need to download in the link below before you continue on this tutorial. The reason why I did this is because the mechanism requires a lot of copying and pasting in order to create, and it took a long time for me to make, but it was just repetition. And I'll be sure to walk you guys through how the mechanism works so you all will know exactly how it works and even be able to recreate it if you have to. So there is a more efficient way, but it's with the nightly builds using loops and searching the searchable tables and everything. But I decided to keep this doable for even the people that don't have Pro. So to start off, going into actors, the actors tab up here, let's create an actor, which will be the red piece on the game, so we're going to name it red piece. And going into that, we're going to change the size attribute here to 75 by 75. And we're not going to mess with the physics at all, because everything is XY coordinates based and will be interpolating to move, which is really cool. There won't be any physics really involved, like game physics, which makes it a lot more predictable and under control. Also included on this starter project, I went ahead and included some placement art, which you are welcome to use, but I would recommend you create your own because it's not very high quality. But it'll work to just visualize what we're trying to do here. So going out of this actor, we're going to go into the scene, and we're going to go into attributes and create a game attribute, which is a real attribute. We're going to make it a real attribute. And we're going to name it number of pieces, which I forgot to delete. Here it is. Okay, we're going to name it number of pieces. And this is so we can track how many pieces are played on the board at the same time. Also, I forgot to mention that included in the starter project are these two tables right here. Don't feel overwhelmed. I'm going to explain what they do. The reason why I included them is it would corrupt the custom behaviors of the mechanic that I need here. It would corrupt them while placing, and I'll explain how that works later, so don't worry about it and don't be overwhelmed. You'll know how it works by the end of this tutorial. So, starting off, which we already did a couple times, I keep on saying that, but go back into the red piece, and we're going to make a self attribute, a real one as well. Name it ID, because we're going to establish some identification. We're going to say, go make a standard behavior, change attribute, game, number of pieces, the attribute we just made, to game, number of pieces, plus 1. So we're just adding one piece to the board. And then we're going to make another change attribute. We're going to say red piece ID, we're going to make established identification, change that to the number of pieces on the board. So, for example, if there's 4 pieces on the board, this piece will be number 4. So we can track it that way and determine which pieces are which. Okay, now what we need to do is make 2 attributes, go into the scene, make 2 game attributes that are the starting positions. So the starting position, which is the first column and the bottom of that column, will be around here somewhere. Drag the piece just as visualized, around here somewhere. So we're going to go into attributes. We're going to create a starting X. We're going to name it that. That's going to be the starting X attribute. And X is horizontal, so we're going to come out just a little bit. The first column will be right about here. So that's about 50. I already did the calculation, so it's going to be right, but that's 50. And then Y is starting from the bottom up Y is going to be a little bit more. It's going to be around here. So that's going to be 150. We're going to create another real attribute and name it starting Y. And that's going to be 150. So, and you'll see why we need those in just a little bit. Go into here, go back into actors, go into the red piece, and we're going to say create a rule when mouse button is down, and we're going to make sure it's the piece that's played. So attribute red piece, self ID is equal to the number of pieces on the board, which is the current piece that needs to be played. See if there's 12 pieces, then if this is the 12th piece, that means it hasn't been played yet and needs to be played. So we're going to find that out. Number of pieces. And right now, just to visualize what I'm trying to do, or what we're trying to do, is make this piece hover over the columns to decide which column the player wants to play the piece. So just visualize a board here. We're going to put the board on but later because it'll get in the way if we put it on now. So just visualize a board. We're going to drag the piece across and then let go and it'll drop. But right now none of that code's in, so we'll need to do that. Going back to the actor, right now we're working on the before drop, dragging over the columns. So it needs to follow the mouse pretty much, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. So we say, one second, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Oh yes, we need to create another rule, drag that into this rule. So if mouse is down and it's the right piece, then this piece needs to drag. So if attribute device, we're going to track the mouse, the device's position X, because we're dragging horizontally. So if X position equals starting X, then, sorry, oh, I know what I did. I forgot something. We need the spacing between the pieces. So we're going to have to go back to the scene. Sorry, this is a pretty complicated tutorial, so I may draw blanks once in a while. But don't worry, we'll get through this. It's going to be an awesome game when it's finished. So we're going to make another real attribute in this game attribute. Name it spacing. This will be the spacing between the pieces. And that's going to be 80. The pieces are 75 by 75, but we're going to leave a little bit of room, wiggle room. So we're going to make that 80. Going back, what we want to do is determine if the mouse is here, then it needs to be in column 1. But when the mouse X, which if it's on a device, it'll be touch X. So it'll be your finger. It's the location. So, but for now it's the mouse. It's the same thing on a device. But if the mouse is around this area, then it needs to be in column 1. If it's around this area, it needs to be in column 2. This area 3, and etc. So this is a little bit complicated, but let's work through it. Okay, so if mouse X position is less than starting X position plus, we're going to add plus a little bit of space, the spacing. Go into game, go to spacing that we just created, the spacing attribute. And we're actually, just to make it so we can copy this rule a whole bunch of times, because we need to for the other locations. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. We're going to make it times 1, which doesn't change the value at all, but it will for further rules like this, plus 30, which is the tip, the right side of the piece. So let me explain a little bit. Going back to the scene. Sorry, it's lagging. Okay, going back to the scene, I'm going to drag the piece. It's going to be around here. Actually, when we're dragging it, it's going to be up here. So when mouse spacing is starting X is 50 right here, or right at the left edge, but then you add 30. Oh, spacing is 80, but then add 30. When the mouse is around this area, then it's going to be in column 1. So going back here, if that didn't make any sense, I'll try to explain it a little bit later on when there's more of a visual aid. So when the mouse position X is less than starting position X plus the spacing plus 30, then the self position X, the position of the piece, so we're going to change attribute self position X, red piece. We're going to go to position, then double click on X, change that to starting position X, go here, starting X, plus the game spacing again, because it's going to be, the starting X is the left side of the piece, so it's going to be spaced 80 from the left. Spacing times 1, just to make it easier later on. And the Y position will always be, going back to the scene, will always be when you're dragging to select the column. 1 second, sorry, it's lagging. The Y position will always be the same. It's always going to be level, right about here. And we're going to say that's around 900. Okay, so going back to the actor, we're going loading. We're going to change the attribute self position Y to 900 because we decided it's around 900. That should work. And now we're going to make a self attribute to distinguish which column it's in. We're going to name it column. And we're going to say if this is column 1 when the mouse is in this position. So change attribute self column to 1. So this is just the first column. There's going to be, I think, 7 columns in the game. So this is first out of 1. But now that we did all this hard work, it's going to be really easy to add on other columns. And I'll show you right now. So hold alternate, and then drag the rule to the bottom. This is copying the rule. And we go into otherwise, and drag the rule we just copied into the otherwise section of the original rule. And so all we have to do, this is going to be the second column, so we just change this times to 2, and then we change the spacing to times 2, then we change the self column to 2. And now, actually up here, there's also now a minimum. Before, there was just a maximum, because the minimum would always be no matter where touch is below this number, it's always going to be column 1. But now, since this is the middle, there's going to be a minimum and maximum. This is the maximum, and so we're going to have to make another, and maybe can I drag this? No, okay. There's going to be another attribute. When mouse position, go back to device, when mouse position X is greater than, wait, what am I saying? Oh, actually, this is the minimum, and this is the maximum. I confused myself, so don't worry if you're being confused. Yikes. Okay. Starting X. Even if you don't understand, follow along here, and hopefully by the end of the tutorial, you'll be understanding. I'll try to explain it better after I create it. It's easier for me to explain after I create things. So, starting X plus the game spacing. I don't even think I have to put parentheses, but I'm going to anyway. No, I don't. Oh well, I'm just going to stick with it. Alright, spacing times, it's times, oh, I see what I did. This is supposed to stay times 1, because now that's the minimum, and now this is supposed to be times 2, so multiply the spacing, and what it's doing, just to explain a little bit more, going into scene, going into the attributes, the spacing is 80, so starting here, if you multiply 80 by 80, that's 160, so that location would be right here. So that's just the next column, times 3, right here, times 4, right here. So the spacing you just multiply by whatever column, and that makes it easier to code faster. So, even how long it's taking. Alright, so going back, go into the rule, and now this is the minimum of the mouse X position, and then the maximum for column 2. And I think we can give it a whirl. Just double checking. Oh, this has to plus 30. It's a little bit of miscalculation, that's why I have to do plus 30. But it works brilliantly after that. I mean, it's a little bit of a sloppy code mess, but it works just the same. Alright, let's give it a try. So go here. And mouse is down. Oh, I don't even have an actor on the scene. Did I delete it? Sorry, guys. Okay. Oh, right, I deleted it. Okay, dragging an actor on the scene just to give it a test. When I hold down, see, there it is. And when it gets higher, okay, it should. Huh, what did I do wrong? It should change. That's odd. One second. Let me go back. It should change columns. Uno momento. It's lagging again. Okay. Oh, I see. I switched these. When mouse X is greater than the min and less than the maximum, then it needs to be there. So let's give it a try now. There and there. See? Now it's, but it only did it one time. For some reason. Yeah, there you go. See, now it's switching columns. We just need to do that for the remainder columns, which I think is 7. Maybe 8. I'll have to double check that. But let's... And now it'll be really easy. After we got past this complicated part, it should be easy. Hold alternate, drag the second row that we made, drag it down here, place it in the otherwise section of the second row, and so it's just going to be a whole string of rules. Excuse me, and clicking on this, now the min will be spacing times 2, and the max mouse X position will be spacing times 3. So when it's in that area, then it needs to change to column number 3 and change self X position to starting X position plus spacing times 3 now. So now it's in column 3. So let's preview just to troubleshoot or test. Yep, now we have 3 columns. See there? Yay. Okay. Now, let's just add the rest of the columns. Alright, go down here. We're just going to do the same thing. Hold alternate, drag the rule, put it down, put it in otherwise of the third rule now. Now we're just going to click on here. Now it's simple since we did the hard work at the beginning. Change times 2 to times 3. Now the max is times spacing times 4 because now it's column 4. Change the column number to 4 change to game spacing times 4 for the X position. Y position is of course the same because we're staying horizontal. And give that just a real quick test so you guys can visualize. There, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go down the row. Do the rest really quick. Then we'll have a working before the drop selection, so the player can drag his finger or her, drag the piece over the top to choose which column he or she wants to place the piece in. Alright, now just hold alternate, drag the rule, drag it into the otherwise of the third one, or the fourth one now. And this is going to be the fifth column, so spacing, the min is going to be the max of 4. So min is 4 times spacing times 4, and the maximum is spacing times 5. And change the self column to 5. Starting X position game spacing times 5. Y stays the same. And now we're just going to assume that works. So do it again for column 6. Hold alternate, drag rule, put it in the otherwise section. Just like that. And this is number 6, so the min will be 5. And the max will be 6. Column will be number 6. And I think it is actually 8 columns, now that I remember. I was making a different game that has 7, so I got distracted. Brainwashed. Alright, so spacing times 6. Alright, now let's do number 7. Hold alternate, drag the rule, place it into the otherwise section, and oops, I placed it in the other place. Okay, put it in otherwise, make sure it's in otherwise, and this is number 7, so the min will be 6 and the max will be 7. And then the column will change to 7. And then the spacing will change to 7. Okay, let's give that a check. So we're dragging it all the way to number 7, and wait. Oh, is there another column? Keep on. Maybe it's only 7. Actually, yeah, it's only 7. Sorry. So I was right, yeah. Okay, it's only 7. So now that we have that done, now we just need to get the dropping down into place. And then later on it'll get more complicated with it detecting 4 in a row and everything. But for now, thanks for watching. That was part 1. And tune in for part 2 to continue the tutorial.